believe in religion at all. And then some of the... Today you have a group called religious Zionists, and I would be considered a religious Zionist. I believe in God, I believe in the Torah, I practice my deen, the deen of Judaism, but I believe part of my religion says that the Jews will and should return to Israel.
So you do think the Jews?
So for me, I became a Zionist as a secular atheist, became religious later, and still have that Zionism. I believe is integral to the Jewish faith.
So you know your initial statement.
Yeah.
Your initial statement. You don't think it can be attributed to just one. You think it could be two.
Yeah. So I think Zionism is inherent in the Jewish religion. What I mean by that, I'll explain.
One minute, Joseph, is Zionism only for Jewish people, or is it for?
So really, Zionism is for anybody.
Any faith.
Any faith can be a Zionist. Secular, religious. It's literally the belief that the Jewish people, not religiously, but the Jewish ethnic collective people that identify as being Jewish, whether they're religious or not, have a right to that ancestral home. And we say it's an ancestral home because there's loads of archaeology. Everywhere you go in Israel, you see Jewish history in the land. You also see Arabist history. What tends to happen is you go to a place like Shiloh, which was one of the big capitals of the Jewish kingdom. It's where the Mishkan, the tabernacle was, where Moses, not Moses, but where the Jewish faith almost originated. You dig down, you find Jewish history, you'll find Jewish pots. I've literally been there and found Jewish pots on the ground. But then like 2 feet away, you'll find an Arabic pot, because different people have lived in the land and the history's literally built one on top of each other.
Why are you kicking Arabs then?
So we're not kicking there, so to answer Zionism?
No, you are.
No, listen. Stop getting squeaky, I get squeaky. We both get squeaky, we're squeaky blokes. What we're saying is, there are Zionists today who believe that from the River Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea should be a Jewish state. There are other Zionists that believe, so I'm just trying to run question at a time. There are other Zionists that believe actually the Jewish state goes up to the 67 borders, and then on there could be a future Palestinian or a future Arab state. There are so many different types of Zionists, but it's like an umbrella term. Like you have different kinds of communists. You have a Trotskyist, you have a Leninist, you have a Stalinist, but they all sit under the umbrella of Marxism. And you have different types of feminists. You have Marxist feminists, you have radical feminists, and they're also under the umbrella of... So with Zionism, you have different types of Zionists.
Yeah.
But the principle that unifies them all is they believe in some area in that region there should be a Jewish national home.
Okay.
That's the unifying principle.
The term is quite complex though. The term is quite complex because...
So what will happen to the Palestinians?
One question.
You know when
when I
asked you to define Zionism?
Yeah.
I know it's not as easy as saying this is what Zionism is, but even amongst Zionists, would you agree that there's a differential between them?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's why I'm saying that. Like for example, this man who said, it's religious. A lot of Zionists will tell you that it's religious.
Yeah, so absolutely, and it can be religious.
I know you explained that.
Yeah.
I know you explained that, but that's why the word is stigmatized.
Yeah.
That's why the word is, so that's why when you say
religion,
happily you're a Zionist, which you're entitled to do.
Yeah.
Can't bother, man. It's a bit
because people don't understand.
So one thing I would say is, just because you're a religious Zionist, that shouldn't be a negative. Religion's a good thing. Like in the same way that if you look at Kurdistan or what people believe in, who are the Kurdish people? You've got Muslim Kurds, you've got Jewish Kurds, you've got all different types of Kurdish people. You've got secular Kurds. The Jewish people are no different, and you will get good religious Jewish Zionists, and you'll get good secular atheist Zionists. You'll get bad religious Jewish Zionists, and you'll get bad, just the same as any people. The Jews aren't unique where we're like either all good or we're all bad. We can be good, we can be bad. Muslims can be good, Muslims can be bad. And so there's a lot of confusion around this word. Most people, when you say I'm a Zionist to a Muslim, they step back. They envisage you drinking the blood of Palestinian children. Yeah, I got many Palestinian friends. I don't drink any of their blood.
No, I understand, yeah. but that's because some Zionists. Well, I know you said good, bad, etc., but that's why when someone like this gentleman asks you, look, explain what a Zionist is. He's more like the question is more than entitled to just to understand it, to be informative. Because as harsh as it sounds, there's a lot of Jewish people who do subscribe to that sort of war mentality of this is what Zionism is. They militarize it.
So I would, for example, so to that point, if you speak to many Israelis, they believe most people that live in Gaza and most people that live in the West Bank are terrorists. They support Hamas and they just want to destroy the Jewish state. But when you actually go there and you speak to the Palestinians, they're like, even in Gaza, somewhere like Gaza, 40% of people living in Gaza believe in a two-state solution. 36% of them believe in apartheid or ethnically cleansing the Jews, but that's a separate argument. But there's 40%, nearly half of the people in Gaza, which is considered most radical of places, support a two-state solution. If you speak to the settlers who live in the West Bank, who most people consider the settlers to be bad guys, when you speak to them, most of them are very good people. Like there's 500,000 people living in the West Bank, 500,000 Jewish Israelis living in the West Bank. Most of them are just ordinary families. Now maybe you do get one or two bad eggs. There was in the 80s, there was a Jewish terrorist who killed a lot of Muslims. That's a terrible thing, and it's a shame for the Jewish people.
There still are.
There's bad in every community, Mo. I'm not doubting there are bad Israeli settlers, bad Israeli Zionists, absolutely. But I'm saying the majority aren't. The majority of people, just like the majority of people who live in Syria aren't Daesh.
But the bad ones are winning, isn't it?
No, the bad ones aren't winning. This is the misconception.
Yeah, but if you look at the map of Palestine, let's say 30, 40 years, you can see almost the Palestinians are wiped out.
So
and the land has been taken and taken and taken and taken and taken, that now they have been in two sections of the land that they have been like, it's like a camp for them. Like 6 million Jews who died in the Holocaust and they were put in camp. The same thing that you are saying, that there are Jews that are bad, but the bad ones are winning.
So to that point.
And that speaks to agreements being broken, and that's not from a populist level. That's high up.
So I was wondering that, but please let me answer that because it's a really pivotal point. Most people think that Palestinian territory has got smaller and smaller and smaller.
And it has.
They look at a map from. Let me finish. I heard your point. I'm trying to respond to it. They bring a map from 1946, before Israel was established in 1948, and they say, look how big Palestine was then, and look at it now.
Yeah.
But the reality was there was never a Palestinian country, ever in history. There was never a Palestinian country. What you had was mandatory. You basically had the Ottoman Empire, and you had southern Sham. You've got Abd al-Ali, who was one of the leaders of the Palestinians in 1936, and he said there's no such thing as Palestine. Palestine is a Zionist word. It's always been southern Syria, Sham. It's always been part. So let me finish, I'm trying to get to your point. British then defeated the Ottomans in World War I. The Ottoman Empire collapsed. And what would happen was British.
No, you're not answering the question. You're going into tangents.
Mo, let me answer.
You're going to.
Mo, you have to listen to learn.
No, simple question, simple answer.
You have to listen to learn. I learn your perspective. You learn my perspective. It's that simple.
No, I didn't go on tangent.
Shit.
In 1917.
Where were the Jews before that? Just
There
give
were
me
Jews
that.
in Israel since time immemorial.
Yeah, okay, but there was no Israel as a state existed,
Palestine.
isn't it?
Yes, there was. Historically.
So who were those
the Jews
people?
are the only people who've actually had a state in that land. The rest of the time, it's been part of different empires. Whether it was the Umayyads, whether it was the Ottomans, whether it was the Christians, it was part of different empires. The Jews were the only autonomous kingdom that's ever existed there. And so to come back to your point, when the British were awarded the mandate of Palestine, which is where you're getting the name Palestine from, they were awarded it on the condition they create a Jewish national home there, as specified in the Balfour Declaration.
Okay.
And the land consisted of Jordan, which is huge.
Have you heard of Sykes-Picot Agreement?
Yeah, yes, of course. Sykes-Picot Agreement, yes.
Yeah, Sykes-Picot. So if no, you're going into
It's not a simple
if the
answer.
world knew that Jews were living there and that was their land, why Britain offered them Ghana? Why?
They didn't. First and foremost, they didn't offer Ghana.
They did.
It was Uganda. It was called the
Uganda.
Plan,
Sorry.
and
Uganda.
It was actually in Kenya.
No, if the world knew that the Jews belong to this part of the land, why would the world offer the Jews?
So let me explain.
Let me finish as well. When the Germans, the Europeans, killed 6 million Jews,
You're confusing your dates.
they did. No, wait.
It's 100. If you're talking, the Uganda plan was way before.
Okay.
World War
Yeah.
II.
Sorry. Yeah. But if the West and other rest of the world, they knew that the Palestine belongs to the Jews, why would they offer them in Africa somewhere? Why?
So a very, very simple explanation.
Go on.
At the time the Uganda plan was offered, the Ottomans controlled Israel. They didn't control...
No, there was no Israel at that time.
But the region that we call Israel, you call Palestine, the Ottomans controlled, yeah? So Britain couldn't give, or the world couldn't offer the Jews a part in the Ottoman kingdom because they didn't own the Ottoman, they weren't part of the caliphate. What they did have was Africa. And what happened when...
Part of the caliphate?
Listen, the Ottoman caliphate, yes it was. Israel, Palestine, Gaza, West Bank, call it what you want, was part of the Ottoman Empire, part of the Ottoman Caliphate. If you don't accept that, that's fine, but that's history.
Okay, so you're saying to me like, if, let's say tomorrow I found out a document, 2,000, 3,000 year old, yeah, that it claims that this building belongs to me, yeah? So I come after 2000, the people who are living there for hundreds of years in that building, somebody else gonna offer me that building so I can go kick out that inhabitants of that building and say, you know what, a book told me this building belongs to me, now I can have it.
Let me respond to that. Palestinians, yeah? You're a Palestinian.
Do you give that, do you get the analogy?
Mo, if you propose something to me, you have to let me respond in my own way. So if you're a Palestinian, in 100 years' time, and you've been living in Lebanon, or you've been living in Syria, are you going to give up your national aspirations? Most Palestinians will say no. If you ask a Palestinian in 200 years, you believe that the Israelis kicked you out of your homeland, are you going to give up your dream of going back to what you call Palestine? Most Palestinians will say no. 300 years, 500 years, no. That's exactly what happened to the Jewish people. So the Romans kicked us out to begin with.
You said the Jews were living there.
Continuous, yes, okay, so again,
so they were not kicked out.
So, okay, Mo, history.
But the European Jews,
no.
The European Jews.
Mo, you don't know your history, I'm really sorry. The Romans kicked out the Jews.
But
sorry, what's a lie? Yeah, okay. And so just to that point, Mo, the Romans kicked out the majority.
No, but you just said the Jews were living there.
Listen. The majority of Jews were kicked out by the Romans. They moved around the world. That's how my family came to be in Poland. However, Jews remained in Israel and they were tolerated by the Christians. At the time when the Umayyads conquered, or the Rashidans conquered Jerusalem, there were 200,000 Jews living in the land. At that time, when the Muslims conquered the land, there were 200,000 Jews already there. By the time the Ottoman Empire came about, towards the end, there were less than 50,000 Jews living in the land.
So you mean the Ottomans kicked out the Jews?
No. So some Jews converted. Some Palestinians are actually of Jewish descent. Some Jews converted to Islam. Yeah. Others were. So Jews weren't allowed, for instance. It's getting too complicated. Yes.
No. Say it again. Some Jews were what?
So there were different restrictions placed on different Jewish communities.
How?
Depend on different
on their religion.
Yeah, different caliphate. As an example, and it's not just in Israel.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan, one of
let's talk about
I'm just trying
Israel.
You have to let me answer my own.
No, but you're saying anything in the camera to make your point correct. You're saying the Ottomans.
My prerogative.
Okay, you're saying the Ottomans.
You have to let me fill the conversation.
You're saying the Ottomans when they came.
I'm only going to debate you.
There were 200,000 Jews. Yeah? Am I getting it right?
No. Before in the 7th century, there were 200,000 Jews.
When the Muslims came,
and
what happened?
And gradually those numbers went down
for
a variety of reasons.
What reasons?
So one is assimilation. They were persuaded to convert. They converted.
Who says that?
Historians.
If I bring you documents that every Khalif, every Muslim ruler came, they gave them their freedom of religion.
So let me give you an example, which I was going to do. In Afghanistan, there was a governor, Abed, I've forgotten his name, but I'll bring it next week. Someone can Google it.
Why are we bringing Afghanistan?
Because it's relevant. The Islamic dynasties weren't just in Israel. They spread the entire world.
I get you, I'm talking about Jews.
I know, and I'm trying to answer about Jews.
If the Muslim
let me answer, or we don't debate. Stop dominating the debate.
No, but you're going somewhere else.
Mo, it doesn't matter. You let me answer my way, or we don't debate. It's that simple.
I'm not debating.
You're arguing with everything I say.
I'm asking you questions.
So let me answer in my own way. Okay. So there was a governor in Afghanistan who said to the Christians and the Jews, I will relinquish that you will not have to pay the jizya. You will not have to pay zakat if you convert to Islam. Now that's not forcing someone with the sword to convert to Islam, but it's giving people a very strong, compelling reason to convert to Islam. You basically live tax-free.
So you're lying now.
Okay, now I'm going to pull up Wikipedia because
why,
I don't like being called a liar.